think I'm going to wait until we're going to discuss something that I want to discuss. It looks like YouTube's finally working properly again. Okay. Let's also do this as we're starting to fire up the game. So from my research into the doppelganger situation, I think I already talked about this. I spoiled it myself, and I'm by extension spoiling it for you, the viewer. So sorry. It's not really much of a spoiler. It's it's random. Um, and well, I guess more of a spoiler. Um, I don't know if I fully went into it. From what I've researched, what I've looked up, um, basically, the details I've gathered, and I don't know how to even do spoiler things anymore. Because there used to be there used to be various points where I would take off my headphones. Um, Now I have earbuds, which you can barely see because I'm growing out my hair. So and the more my hair grows out, so there's no real visual indicator that I can do. Um, and at least while I'm streaming a PC game, um, I can't put up a bobsled or no, a sled like like Blur Runner does. Uh, I'll go ahead and take off my earbuds anyway. Um, I guess when you see me put my earbuds back in, if you're watching the VOD, um, it will be safe to unmute or whatever. Although that will be a difficult thing to if you're trying to actually fast forward to the point where I'm done. I don't know. Uh, Hopefully you've either played the game or already or just don't care too much about these spoilers, which are kind of minor. I mean, they're basically a summary of what I understand of how, without going into too many details, of how the doppelganger situation plays out. So there's a few ways we can find out who the doppelganger is. One is to, perhaps the easiest way is to long rest. I think I read 3 times total, and then the doppelganger will come out and reveal themselves and try to kill us, and then we'll be forced to kill them. I don't know if it actually is 3 times. It may just be that it was 3 times for like one player. It may be somewhat random. Who knows? It ties into another problem that's probably gonna get negative, which is just the way the long rest system works, which is an entirely separate subject. Maybe I'll get to it. Maybe I'll probably touch upon it when I do a proper review, which will probably be next year. Yeah. But anyway, so okay, so that's one way the doppelganger can potentially reveal themselves. The other way is that we go on a quest, I think, into the sewers. That's all I really know about it. Um, well, I know a little bit more, but I'm not going to go into it because it does, like, whatever else I know or have read, it is unnecessary spoilers, basically. So in fact, I probably should even mention it was in the sewers. Because that's just neither here nor there. There's a location we can go to. Um, and discover where we go down into it, and when we get to the end of this dungeon, or maybe we'll discover our the actual ally, um, uh, being held hostage, and therefore discover that the original, the one that was in our camp, is a doppelganger. Um, I'm not sure how. I don't know a lot of details of how all of this is determined. Whether it's random at the moment that Gortash tells us, when does the dice roll that determines who it is happen? Is it when Gortash tells us? Is it when it's when we have a certain number of it may be that when we have a certain number of long rests, or possibly again, it may not even be a certain number of long rests. It may be just a dice roll with an increasing threshold, maybe, or like a greater. Like that's probably how I would potentially. Well, for one, if I were DMing this, um, each time the party long rests, um, for one, I would determine who the doppelganger is to begin with, especially if there's if it probably, I don't even know how I would do it, because this leads me to another problem with it, which is that if this were an actual D&D game, there's a degree of agency that they're just completely taking away from us here for the sake of a narrative, which is that in an actual D&D game, at least from like what I've seen. Now, granted, my main exposure to D&D is Critical Role. That's actually my main recurring exposure to D&D. I don't have a lot of other live streams that I regularly watch. I just I don't have enough free time at this point to pursue watching multiple D&D shows. So Critical Role it is. In fact, I'm getting less and less time. I'm allowing myself less and less time to even watch Critical Role live, because I'm committing myself more and more to just streaming games, at least the ones that I particularly enjoy, like Baldur's Gate 3. But anyway, in those games, that obviously, like everything that they do is just role played. So like, there's no skipping over. I mean, the long rest to some extent, but generally speaking, when they do a long rest at a camp, basically, usually they'll be they'll be role playing some conversations. Usually, basically, like okay, whatever. Like a long rest in a camp, they will take, or any situation where their lives may be potentially threatened. They do watch shifts. So like, there'll usually be two party members who will be awake while everyone else is sleeping, and then they'll wake up another person for their next shift and the next shift and the next shift, or watch. They'll take watch. And let's even forget the fact that we have a dog. Maybe the dog's a doppelganger. I'm not sure if there's any chance of that. I think they're joking during Lord Runner's stream that like the Scratch is a deep cover agent. He was a doppelganger from the beginning. A doggoganger. A doggoganger. That's what I'm calling him now. Anyway. So that's what we should be doing in lore. We should be taking watches. Now maybe they're not being played out, but like that's what we should be doing while we're at camp. Realistically speaking, that should be a thing that's happening. Obviously it isn't, because we have freaking doppelgangers, a doppelganger in our group. And the only thing I can think of as to how that happened is that while we were sleeping and no one was taking watch, um, a doppelganger snatched one of us and took their place. And that means we're incredibly stupid whenever we take camp. Um, so like this entire plot line would not be possible at all. At least not without careful planning on the DM's part. Um, or a lack of careful planning on the party's part. And if there is a lack of careful planning on the party's part, that's probably a lack of um due to a lack of that's still the DM's problem potentially. Because if basically if a DM's not like really caring about long rests and having the party actually play long rests or take watches, and it's just like, oh, you're safe when you long rest, and that's just a assumed thing because the DM doesn't want to. The DM and or the players don't necessarily want to do that, but on the DM decides, hey, I want to do this doppelganger thing. This doppelganger plotline where one of the characters ends up being replaced, and it's just taken while they're sleeping. Then, if you then suddenly are like, you go from the assumption of safety while you're sleeping to suddenly one of the players is a doppelganger. Now, granted, if you're doing it at least somewhat well, you're gonna tell the player who's a doppelganger that they are a doppelganger. You were potentially even going to like take them aside and maybe role play out that situation. Um, like between sessions, like we end a session with them going to sleep. Like that's like if I were the kind of DM who was like at least up to that point like not really caring too much about having a random encounter while during a long rest or the risk of a random encounter while they long rest. Um, and I decided to just maybe exploit that a little bit, or exploit the expectations a little bit by and add some intrigue by having the one character be replaced by a doppelganger. I would take players after the session or between sessions. I would take the player aside, and we would role play the situation more or less, um, where they're taken away. Like they're gonna make some kind of maybe a perception check or something, or granted this is a little risky because basically, um, like depending on how it plays out, I don't know if how I might do it is there might be a caster with the doppelgangers that casts like a zone of silence around the area while while the party is sleeping. So when the person is kidnapped, like they're whatever they're reacting to it is not going to wake the rest of the party. I suppose that there is a watch. Usually, it's at least two characters at one time. So it could be we have two characters who end up being doppelgangers. Granted, that would be incredibly tricky to pay off because um because uh uh because like you couldn't add the intrigue because they'd be on watch, unless you like maybe one way you could do it. Now, granted, this is going to be like highly suspicious. Like, if it isn't a regular thing that you separate the people who are on watch from the rest of the party every time. Like, if you're suddenly like, okay, I need everyone who isn't on watch to leave the room. until I have someone send you to get go. And that's gonna already be a little suspicious. Granted, they're not gonna know exactly what you're playing, you're doing, but it's gonna be sus. Um, because like, okay, you leave the room, there's an encounter of sorts where potentially at least the two people who are on watch get captured and replaced by doppelgangers. Um, and I guess regardless of how it works, like basically, there would be a chance that they could potentially awaken another party member. At that point, like okay, like there might be a role or something involved. Like maybe I would need to have the other character stat sheets to like make them have them like roll something to determine whether or not they are able to wake up. Um, um, like I'm rambling at this point. Basically, there would be like the whatever characters are going to be captured will be taken aside. They role play the scenario where they get captured, where they potentially get captured, and then they're gone. They're replaced with a doppelganger, and the rest of the party. Ideally, will be none the wiser. Maybe a little sus because depending on how it has to play out, but but yeah, anyway, that's an entirely hypothetical situation. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about here. Um, and I'm off track of what else I'm supposed to be arguing about. So the problem is, like, those are the two ways you can find out. Okay, you either they either emerge. Oh, go to hell! These controllers are not designed for freaking for freaking uh rumination or whatever the heck I'm doing here. Um, um. So either this is as far as I know, either you long rest a certain number of times, or there's a random dice roll, or whatever. They'll emerge as doppelgangers and attack you, and then you effectively lose that party member. At least that's what I'm assuming. Until you find where they're being held, or you summon one to where they're being held, and rescue them. And in stumbling upon where they held, you realize who the doppelganger is. And I'm unsure, like, again, where the role takes place because maybe that person wouldn't be in your party when you know. Like, is there a chance that the doppelganger will be a person who's in your active party when you discover the doppelganger? Um, Obviously, while you're in camp, there's a fairly real chance it could be someone who's in your active party because why couldn't it be? Um, but that's the two ways you can find out. And the thing is, because you're told by Gortash over the course of the main plot about this, or at least can be, and more than likely will be, um, your lack of ability to investigate, that probably would be a negative by itself. Like your lack of any ability to suss out who it is probably a negative in itself. Um, could be the interaction. Um, yeah, that probably would be the interaction. Actually, there probably would be an interaction negative. Um, there'd be an information negative, possibly too. Um, I might even make it two. Like this could be three negatives. A negative interaction for no like interactive way to figure out who it is on your own. um, a negative to information because there's nothing really tell you who it is other than someone. So you can't even like guess at it because no one's probably going to actually act any differently than they would normally because the doppelgangers are just too good, I guess. The third negative I would give, or the second negative I would give to information, would be the fact that basically the whole doppelganger plot is probably going to break a lot of personal quests. Not really like literally, but within the overall narrative, if you take someone along with you to do their personal quest, and then they randomly later turn out to be the doppelganger, then that means that the person you were doing the personal quest with never underwent that character arc. And as far as I can tell, as far as I can figure, that's I highly doubt that's ever going to actually be addressed. So like we take Shadowheart to like rescue her parents, and she undergoes that whole emotional arc. Then we find out she's a doppelganger, and then we rescue her. And because Gortash told us before we even went out there, that means she was replaced, or should mean that she was replaced before we did that quest. So like, the fact that she um likely was a doppelganger the entire time should mean by all rights that she never actually got to meet her parents, or she never underwent the character arc we saw her undergoing, because she wasn't there. She was being held captive the entire time while our doppelganger was undergoing her personal quest. And the only way to avoid it narratively is to kind of beeline it for wherever this quest takes place. And I'm not even sure if there's any indications of that. It may just be we need to randomly explore, find this sewer, venture into it, and discover the person who is. I mean, we can do that kind of in character because it would be somewhat in character. Oh my god, I am talking too loudly. My voice is hurting, or maybe I'm just talking too much. Um, it's a trait that comes with my family, or at least my dad's side of the family, that we tend to talk loudly. Um, I'm hurting my voice. But it would be like really bad. Like, okay, sorry, Shadowheart, I can't take you along with me to rescue your parents because not that I suspect you're a doppelganger, but I have no way of knowing that you're not a doppelganger. And on the off chance you are, I'm gonna hold off going after your parents until we sort this thing out. Because I care about you too much to risk reuniting a freaking doppelganger of you with her parents and robbing the actual you of that experience. And granted, I highly doubt it matters because that would be a pain, like both to code and to write, because like there will be like multiple stages of the quest in which like keeping track of which stage you're at when they're the doppelganger thing is resolved, and having their dialogue and responses to the whole thing be dependent on that. I just don't see a way to realistically, to reasonably have that. So like as far as I can figure, it's probably never going to be addressed. Like, please, I am in the middle of something here. Uh, I know you love me, and I love you too, but I know you get agitated when I get agitated, and And I don't mean to agitate you. And I don't want that feedback loop, okay? So you should probably just leave me alone when I'm like this, okay? Because I don't think we can help each other here. So like, how do they fix this? I think maybe not just not make it random. Granted, the randomness, I wouldn't give a negative to the or interaction negative to the fact that it's random, because they can make it random and make it better. It just takes a lot of work. Um, they can make it random and have each character have like their own unique ways of telling, or add the investigation thing. Add an actual investigation mechanic of some kind where we can figure out who it is. Um, Granted, they could also accuse us of being doppelganger, which is would be literally impossible. But I mean, it would be interesting if that was actually a possibility, though. It would just be like problematic role playing wise, like either you I don't know how I do it if I was to allow that to be a possibility. Like, it probably shouldn't be random at that point, maybe. Um, I there's a few ways you could do it. Like, one is to actually like give them the role playing segment where you get attacked while you're sleeping, and during a long rest, and potentially, and if you fail to stop the doppelgangers from disabling you in any fashion, they'd probably be trying to cast sleep on you or something, maybe. Um, um, Kind of sleep is a little weird because I think you have to be like little one hit points to begin with. Um, it'd be an interesting encounter to try and like plan out. Um, well, basically, if you end up being incapacitated anyway, like either sleep or something that renders you unconscious or drops you to 0 hit points, which would make in turn make you unconscious, and you can't somehow rouse any of the of your other fellow party members, you get captured and replaced. Granted, that would still be pretty weird because then if you succeed in just taking it out, then the whole thing is dropped because uh, yeah, the matter is effectively dropped. Um, the other way to do it is to just have it happen off screen either way. In which case, even you would not be, as the player at least, would be aware that you're a doppelganger. Maybe you'd have some different dialogue options that would seem like maybe weirdly. I don't know how you do like you like because like the idea like okay if you allow it to be role played, you would just like the interesting way to do it would be to almost make it like a weird. I don't know if I can call it a Princess Peach section because I never played the Paper Mario game, which has a Princess Peach section. Um, and so all I know is I think it's like a section of the game that is like radically different, that follows a different character, and is a bit different in terms of style and gameplay, maybe. Um, but the idea is that you would be taken, um, you would be taken away because of you being taken away, and then you'd see like one of these doppelgangers assume your shape then lay down or whatever and go, at least pretend to go to sleep. And then you cut, rather than cutting to you like in whatever prison cell you're in, you would just cut back to yourself as the doppelganger, and then you role play it from there, more or less. And there probably would be some different dialogue options or something, and I guess deception checks involved as you are the doppelganger, which actually I think would work pretty well because like if you were a player in, you know, I think like not only would that be an interesting thing to play through, but also if this were actually in D&D, that's what would happen. The DM would create a scenario where you would realistically, like I was talking about before, where you realistically be taken away from the party, and ideally would play it out for the player with actual like dice rolls in combat or whatever. Like there's two ways you can do it. Like either have it play out with dice rolls or just construct the general idea. Ideally, you should still construct an idea of how it happens, like realistically. How would I take it without alerting the rest of the party? Like that's kind of the key thing. So, one, you need to get the player. I think basically you need to get the player on board with the idea of basically becoming a doppelganger of themselves. That may even be before you even roll the encounter. Like, are you up for this? Like that'd be the first thing I probably would ask them. You know, and then I might ask them, okay, do you want to play it out as an encounter, or do you just like I have an idea of how it would happen, and there may be evidence that the players can discover that this is what happened, but we could just say that that's what happened. Like there's a silent spell, and they cast a powerful sleep spell on you, and it just worked. Their plan just worked because I really want to do this, and I as a DM really want to have this scenario, and if you, as a player, are on board with the scenario, maybe we should just play it out. And as long as we have a reasonable explanation as to how they were able to do this, to pull this off, maybe that's enough. I think that's also a reasonable thing to do. Like, especially if the player's on board with it, especially if they're on board with not playing it out. To just say, like, okay, they succeed, they had a good plan, there may be evidence of what their plan was that's left behind to some extent, but that the players may have a chance of discovering, but or just learning about later, because you could, the player, once that the actual character is discovered, is rescued, then they can explain what happened. So that kind of needs to be there. It needs to be like reasonable and like, okay, how, like the player could be like, okay, how the hell did that actually happen? Like, how the hell did they actually manage to pull this off without anyone noticing? So you do have to have the explanation, at least the explanation of what happened that allowed them to do this in mind. Even if you're not going to actually play it out. But yeah, it would. The idea would be that, like, doing this, like, having the player actually play the doppelganger would reflect what would happen in an actual D&D session, where the player is now the doppelganger and role-playing the doppelganger, role-playing themselves. It's role-playingception. And that could be an interesting opportunity within the game. Although I'm not sure if it would be a good idea to make it random, but whether or not that happens, but I think it'd be actually kind of cool if it just happens. Granted, with multiplayer, it would be a little weird because it would cause some issues. Like you could hide the cutscenes from the other players, but then then they'd be a little bit sus. Um, but I don't know how it would work with multiplayer on the multiplayer end of things. Like if it's random and you're just doing a multiplayer game, then sure, you just exclude it. But if it's actually like part of a scripted thing, well, it could just be that all the player characters become doppelgangers temporarily, until the situation is resolved. Like on one hand, you are taking a little bit of agency away from the player. Um, Also, there's still a chance that the player will successfully fend them off, which, in terms of a video game, you should allow that to actually happen. Potentially, I mean, you could just make it a cutscene, especially if you just actually properly establish that we're stupid and we don't have a watch system in place. Which, I mean, this kind of establishes that pretty well. We don't have a watch system in place. We should probably start having a watch system in place. Even more likely with two people. Heck, we should be having a watch system in place at the very least from the moment we get attacked by the Gift Yankee in the middle of the night. Like that should be like the moment where we're like, okay, we need to start doing watches. Now, granted, the whole doppelganger thing should still have been there from the beginning. I am rambling on way too long. I think I made my points already. The possibilities here fascinate me, and I think that there's a lot of unexplored potential. But also, again, I think the main thing that hurts it is the fact that like this is open world, and there is a good chance that we could inadvertently like just break the plot with regard to, particularly with regard to our companion quest lines. Like, for example, this thing. Will's gonna have no idea of any of this because he's an imposter the entire time. I'm still debating whether or not I should just try to temporarily respect my character to have proficiency in Arcana, so that she actually knows what's going on. Because I mean, I could just roleplay this in a manner of speaking where she just knows where it is, and I don't until it's revealed. Um, it's just that we're missing out on that option to actually reflect that. It'll also be incredible if we actually like, succeed on our first try here.
Come, no two. You've heard of such devils. Sisters of justice. Adjudicators of diabolical contracts and bargains.
Holy hells.
Okay. I wonder if it has something to do with the dice karma system. Today we were just like rolling really well up to this point, and because of that, we just had a much lower chance of actually succeeding than we should have otherwise. And because I restarted the game, I also restarted the dice karma system to neutral. I wonder if that's actually the case. If that's just like sitting in the memory until we literally restart the game. But finally, and we're just gonna quick save here. We can finally actually roleplay frickin' Makaria, the daughter of Zario. noble of the hells, hell's nobility, who would frickin' know who these people are. Like I said, yesterday, last night, or this morning technically, because I was up so late. Uh, adjudicators. Like, if the game could actually keep track of this, or if this were an actual tabletop session, my DM would lower the difficulty class for this at least. Possibly just give me advantage automatically. But it probably would be a lower difficulty class than normally would be regardless, because like there could be a mechanic where we roll advantage on any information regarding the hells. There could also be a thing where we just know. Because of course we do. Or there could be, you know, a lower DC naturally. Or, you know, I think it could be a combination of both, just because it would, like, the advantage would just, like, be almost a formality in a way. Just to make you feel like you're the character, but there'd be an additional layer of, you also have a lower DC, because it's easier for you to know these things, because that knowledge should be in your head, probably. It may just be a matter of you recalling what it is. Because like, the chances of her knowing this are probably very close to 100%. Like, she would probably have to roll a natural 1 to not know this. Which means that, like, she would literally have, like, a 5% chance of not knowing it. Like, a 95% chance of knowing it, or at least recalling it. But yeah, it just, I am highly amused by the fact that it happened on our first try this time. But this is the dialogue choice that is the most like Makaria, and reflects Makaria's knowledge of the hells. And again, I don't expect Larian to account for any and every backstory that you could potentially give your character, because that's kind of ridiculous. But again, I do feel like maybe they should really allow the player more opportunities to apply their frickin' inspiration to things, rather than just having so many frickin' passive checks that just happen out of nowhere and we have no way of reacting to, or... And I think it would be an appropriate way to utilize inspiration is to roleplay. Like, it's both a reward for role-playing and a method to roleplay. So if you feel your character should know this, given the background you invented for them, then you can use inspiration to kind of counterbalance, you know, the randomness of what the game is actually doing. I don't know. I might try to tweet if I'm certain Larian has a Twitter account. I don't know if they're gonna pay attention to it, or if it's gonna be a thing for feedback. But like, I'd just be like, hey, you should consider making some of these passive checks actual things the player can interact with, so they can apply inspiration. Because I'm role playing a character who probably should know what is happening, and they don't, because of a random dice roll that is repeatedly going bad no matter how many times we save and reload. Until we start a new day and try again, and then suddenly... Anyway, I've gone on about this long enough. I don't think I damaged my voice too much. I may have damaged my voice a little bit today, just from all the things I've been rambling about. Anyway, interesting. I don't recall sending out invitations to the Sisters of Justice.
You do not call upon the sisters. They come when the hells demand witness.
Your parasite links with Will's, and your memories flow into him. He sees his father's flight from Worm's Rock, and hears Mizora's words to you.
Shit. Where did Gortash send my father? How do I save him?
Sisters.
Infernos contractos te vocamos. Infernos contractos te vocamos. Infernos contractos te vocamos.
Your contract, Will. Signed in blood, forged in fire, bound in bone, but not unbreakable.
Okay, what are you proposing?
A life for a life. No contract is ended without sacrifice. The cost must be paid. Will Ravengard, a choice is before you. Option 1. I show you the way to your father. I guarantee him no harm except that from you and your allies. And you pledge your soul to me and the Archdevil Zariel in a pact eternal. Option 2. I break your pact and you are freed from your duty. Your father dies by his enemy's hand, and Baldur's Gate loses its greatest champion. Name your sacrifice.
Bloody Zariel! I won't let her take Will.
Silence, Karlak.
Mizora, you asshole!
Choose.
Wow. What will happen to Will's powers if he breaks the pact?
Addendum F. The Absolute must be avenged for the Soulbinder's detention at Moonrise. The Soulbearer retains his gifts until such time as the Absolute is slain.
Oh my god! Oh my god! What the hell? This is so stupid! Larian! Wow, when I heard the third act is unpolished, like, I figured the writing it would at least, be on par. But, and I mean, it is kind of, like, in general. But, like, the actual, like, interactive aspect of the writing is becoming increasingly worse. So here are our 4 options. Save your father, Will. The city needs him to help rebuild. Do the right thing. Give your soul so that your father can live. Break the pact, Will. You deserve your freedom. Let your father die. If the city's free, you can take his place. So, 4 options that break down to 2 options with flavor. You have 2 options and then flavor choice, which is fine. But the thing is, this should not be our choice. Like, there should be a fifth option here. Will, what do you think you should do? Like, that's literally what Makaria would do. She is effectively a neutral paladin. Like, she is neutral, leaning good. But, like, even considering that she's leaning good, there's no good option here. There's no good choice here. And where Makaria is concerned, like, I don't think she would realistically want to, like, Will hasn't asked for her opinion here. And even if he did, she'd be like, what would Makaria's opinion be here? Like, 4 is stupid. Actually, no, 4 isn't stupid. Although Will is stupid, so, or at least according to Lore Runner, I don't think he's that stupid. I think he was 17 when he made that choice, and he was stupid. And I think there's a lot of I don't think he's learned from his mistake too much, because it felt right at the time, and it's still. I think the fact is he's never run into anyone to tell him better, and actually, I kind of wish we had the option to try and help him know better. Granted, Makaria is in a unique position to do so, but we're also being given the information that, at least from a narrator and from our, I think, our knowledge checks, okay, like 4 isn't stupid. I was thinking of, I mean, potentially stupid, but, because I was thinking, well, if he takes his father's place, then he would be in the pocket of Mizora, which he wouldn't be. Also, we don't have the option to be like, well, we'll figure out how to save him ourselves. But yeah, what I was thinking, I wasn't thinking to enough, was that, like, oh, well, he would take over and he'd be in the pocket of Azora and they could use him to do all sorts of shady things. Like if Makaria has to choose, she is ever the pragmatist. And this would probably reflect that. I mean, I'm not sure how pragmatic that is, really. To some extent. At least, like, pragmatic on... for Will and... what... Will wants to achieve, I guess. And that might be trusting that Will would ultimately grow into the role, which I think she has some confidence that he will. Like, he never really learned from his mistake, but we can, off screen, like explain to him that the devils had interest in this thing anyway. If not you making that pact, they would probably send their own agents in some capacity to stop that from happening. They were simply using you as a vessel to make it happen, and they could have used potentially anyone or no one. You know, they wanted to use someone who would be nice to have in their pocket long term. But it would be nice, like, though, okay, like, isn't guaranteed the father will die. Like, there will be other ways to figure this out. There will be other ways to. There honestly should be another way to save Baduk. I doubt this is a not right lie, and not Whimsy. Makaria would probably doubt it's a not right lie because devils usually lie by omission more than anything. So if they say his father's life is in danger, it is probably in danger. Whether or not they have any enough clairvoyance to know for certain, or enough influence to make sure for certain that his father is going to die, if no action is taken. Um, um, like, I don't know. Like, it's a weird kind of pragmatism. Is the thing, because it's like, think of all the terrible things she could have you do for in an eternal contract, or potentially have you do in an eternal contract, versus one really bad thing happens now to someone you love and care about and who is important to the city. Although the horns can't really go away, that might be a problem. Just have this eternal mark of what he went through, which could make it difficult for him to replace his father. So Duke Ravengard goes away from all eternity, and then he just, with all the things that will be lost from that. But he's not going to live forever, regardless. There's a potential that Will could, with the power of the pack, could live for a very long time. And be forced to do any number of terrible things. And this is kind of a, a railroad situation or whatever. Like it's do we, as most of these choices are, it is a, the railroad quandary or whatever. That, like basically there's two tracks. The track that it's currently going down is going to kill a bunch of people, but if you move the track, it will only kill one person. Or you switch the track that the train's going on, it will kill one person. So do you take an action that will directly lead to one person being harmed? Or do you take no action and just allow a bunch of people to be harmed? Are you directly do you want to be directly responsible for the death of one, or indirectly responsible for the death of many? In this case, do we want to be directly responsible for encouraging someone to screw over their life and their freedom? Or do we want to be indirectly responsible for the death of one very important person? And I honestly think that Makaria would not give her advice immediately like this. She probably would basically be, Will, what do you want to do? And if Will's like, I don't know, what do you think I should do? Then she'll be like, okay, let me think about this. Maybe you should let your father die. Maybe she would even... Heck, she would probably talk about what happens in each possibility. Probably ask more questions of Mazora at this point, too. Like, what are the chances that we would be able to save him on our own? Or are you at liberty to tell us? Granted, Makaria might know just how clairvoyant devils are. Now, if I were DMing this whole adventure, I would probably at least allow for the possibility. It may be one heck of a ticking clock, but I would probably allow for the possibility of the players somehow being able to manage to do both. I honestly think Larian should allow that. Like, it may even be a situation where we cannot long rest. Like, if you really want to press the issue. But it should be possible for us to rescue his father. On our own, with no help from Mazora. I'm not sure... I don't know. If Mazora should, or Makaria, excuse me, their names start with the same letters, incidentally. If Makaria would, I mean, I think she is blunt to a fault sometimes, so I don't sure it would be she's also not very wise, so she probably would just say like, "Let your father die," or allow for that possibility. But it might also be the less cruel way to just say break the pact. It may, which may or may not lead to be incredibly likely to lead directly to your father's demise. But it would be somewhere between 3 and 4 because it's like, well, you can potentially replace him. I'm not sure. You know, someone will rise up to take his place. Hopefully, someone good. Maybe even one of us. Maybe you. Like, Baldur's Gate is full of people. Surely one of them will be able to. I don't know, I might just have to go with option 3. Because, I mean, it's a guarantee of something bad happening. Whereas breaking the pact means there's a chance that this could be salvaged. Have I quick saved? I'll quick save again. I wish we had more dialogue in house, and I wish you had the choice to just ask what he wants directly.
You damned wretch. Father. Do it. Break the pact.
Fiat ita.
Fiat ita. Anima ad beator.
Didn't think you had it in you. Seems my boy's all grown up. And don't go fussing about your father. You made your choice. You knew the terms. You know what? I think I'll stick around. Not for the greater good, you understand. Just for the entertainment.
Well, she's literally sticking around.
Gods, I spent 7 years choked by Mazura's leash. And I spent 7 years hoping to break free. I never knew freedom could taste so bittersweet.
Well, okay, power play. That's not what she like. Rise up to take his place. We could still encourage her to take his place, but I don't think I don't think he would approve of it being a power play. It's interesting because I don't know, like 17. I think he'd be 24 now. So still fairly young, and I think there's a lot of rationalization that comes with the choice he made. And I don't think he's currently that stupid. I think he just rationalized his choice so much that he, over the years, that it just kind of stuck in his brain. So I think that makes him 5 years older than Makaria. Like, the hardest part of Makaria to roleplay so far is her youth and experience, because the age gap between me and Makaria is nearly 2 decades. It's gonna be 2 decades in October, so. But it is interesting to roleplay someone who is. You're your own man now, Will. Perhaps it's better this way.
I have to believe that. I'm not the Hell's puppet in life, nor its warrior in death. The blade will be guiding his own hand. But freedom will be paid in my father's blood. Tomorrow, I celebrate my gain. Today, I mourn my loss.
A moment passes. In the stillness, you find a mote of tranquility.
The Raven Guard name now lives solely with me. I will make it count for something.
Father's not dead yet, Will. Maybe there's still a way to save him.
I signed his life away before the Hell's witnesses. It would be easier to drink the sticks down to the last drop than to alter his fate. I'd be a fool to wish otherwise.
Like, do devilish contracts actually like manipulate fate? I mean, fate. I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess Makaria would know, and then she wouldn't even pick that. I mean, that is one thing where there's a chance that she might not know, because she's never. She didn't exactly study contract law, but she would know like the broad strokes. She would certainly know what the frickin', the sisters are. Larian. What's our next step then?
We obtain the final 2 nether stones and take back our minds. And the city. From the brain. Go on
Talk
then.
about something else then, maybe? Yeah, okay. Zora has Valeria's protection.
Little Will's all grown up. I can't wait to see what trouble he gets into.
You forced him to make an impossible choice.
Impossible? My bargain was uncommonly reasonable. A single soul for the return of Baldur's Gate's most beloved duke. A real bargain, I should think. I never thought the legendary Blade of Frontiers would surrender his father for freedom. Not very valorous, if you ask me. But what does a mean old devil like me know about heroes?
You left Karlach alone. Did you want her dead? What changed?
You are an inquisitive one. I'd have thought you'd figured by now. Zariel found new use for an old battle axe. The dead 3 in that bulging brain of theirs are a threat to more than this trifling city, you know. Savor her company. Who's to say when Zariel might change her mind? My mistress can be so capricious.
I know. What can you tell me about the Hells that I don't already know? Probably nothing. I mean, you could tell me as a player, but you never told me how the Absolutes just captured you.
Correct. I didn't. If you must know, I was scouting the cultists on behalf of Zariel. But those cursed shadows were thick enough to fell even a half-fiend. I woke in that damned pod. It kept my body sealed and my most powerful magic silenced. But a brave, kind, benevolent soul set me free. Gallantry isn't dead after all.
Well, I am quite gallant. These are all stupid questions. If you're going to be staying, I'd like something in return.
Why? I'm supplying Will with every scrap of his infernal power. I've paid my dues many times over. I tell you what, when the time comes to squish that big baddie of a brain, I'll lend you a hand.
All right. I mean, at least you're not an eyesore. Let's
I do
hear
not know Duke Ravengard that well, but I am sure he would not want his son to become slave to Zariel for his sake. I am sure Will knows that. But we would do well to remind him when his days grow dark.
You sound like you speak from experience, which makes sense.
No one truly understands the weight of loss until they've worn it a while. There is no shame in sharing the load when you need to.
How are you faring about your harpers?
Think me lonely? In truth, I prefer travel in a small pack such as this. Unburdened by numbers, we're free to act rather than react. A little like the old days. With allies every bit as peculiar. Give or take a few tadpoles.
I'm certain your experience will be an asset.
A kind way of saying, ye gods, I hope her dusty bones don't break at the first blow. Fear not for me. I will try my very best to keep up.
Let's see, I think there's a red and black or something. I wish we had all our dyes just... That's white and scarlet. I think that's what we already have, what we currently have. Actually, let's go ahead and... Huh. That's when I made a hard save after the open hand temple. That's really weird. Just in case we don't like the look of it. And... we still have the iron flask. Let's deliver the outfit in purple. Not sure how this is going to help us, but I'm hoping the makeup's going to go off overnight, because otherwise I'm going to have to freaking look it up. How do I get rid of the makeup when I... These should really be organized by default, like into proper categories. Would it be considered potions? Of course not. So we just have to find them. Yeah. That's really dumb. Like, beyond the filters, we should have a ability to have them to change how things are sorted. I, yeah. Apparently, pale pink dye is rare. That's the white and scarlet dye. Are all dyes considered rare? There's muddy red dye, which is just. I probably had a. Okay, here's black and furnace red dye. Okay, that looks a little better. Although I wish the colors were reversed. Yeah, the colors should be reversed. Like red jacket, black blouse. I actually tried on the I think it's the same one. What if I had to? They should give the. That's interesting. It dies differently, but there's no. There's even less red in this version. I think there's like more machine to it. The Raffish Midnight. Maybe more. Yeah, there's more Huh. Like that's interesting. The colors are inverted a little bit. Huh. I might just use this entire save to experiment with dyes. The pink applies to the undershirt. Right. Yeah, I think the dye system is probably gonna get a negative. Probably the information. Yeah, the information. Because I mean, it is kind of an interactive feature, but it's ultimately like our inability to know what we're applying anything to, or to see what. There could also be an interaction negative for our lack of ability to apply individual dyes to individual parts of the outfit. Instead, we're just given particular color combinations, and we have no idea how those color combinations are going to apply until we actually apply them. Well, that's barely pink. Where the heck is the pink? There's green. The leaf green is there, but the pale pink is not. Um... Hmm. That's actually more pink, although it's... like, how the dye applies to it seems to depend on... There shouldn't be a filter to just have the dyes. Are all dyes rare? I think they're all rare. Let me apply it to my old outfit. That doesn't look that much different from how it was originally. Maybe a bit more black in there.
Yeah?
She has nothing. She literally has nothing to say about that besides yeah. And she still sounds a little pissed.
Chuk. The devil Mizora's made herself quite at home, hasn't she? Do make her feel as unwelcome as you can.
Will gave up his father to have freedom. An understandable decision. Sacrifices must be made after all.
Lord Asterion approves of
Especially if
this.
the old duke's fall means his rise.
Of course you'd think that way.
Come to bask in the glow of the Moon Maiden's sword? Be most welcome.
I think we already asked that. And she still hasn't healed.
Keeping very well, I hope?
Will sacrificed his own father. A hard choice, but not one that is unknown in nature. At times, a seedling must strangle the very tree that bore it, if it's to survive.
Scratch, did you see who got replaced with Doppelganger?
I knew any artifact that could command an Elder Brain must be close to omnipotent. But for it to be the very crown Carcer's forged, it verges on unbelievable. I assure you, the hammer Raphael offered is mere scrap metal in comparison, whatever use he claims for it. We should pay a visit to Sorcerer's Sundries. Their book collection is the envy of the Sword Coast. Zach, you'll have to...
Is that just super glitched?
Fate.
Dost thou require a new ally?
Will sacrificed his own father. I hope freedom from the pact is worth it to him.
It may be worth it to the realms. Who knows what kind of things Mazora might manage to make him do.
I brought my own paring knife. Now I just need some ingredients, and I'm gonna make something.
Okay, now we're just... Okay, I guess, yeah, we're still able to see them in our dreams.
How did you? Oh, it's you. I must have let my mind wander. Enough for you to wander in.
We're still wearing the makeup.
I am drained. Ever since you killed Ketherick and took his netherstone, the Chosen's control of the brain has been brittle. Its rebellion against Orin and Gortash has been fierce, even as it executes their final orders. Once those orders are complete, there is a good chance it will break free.
You feel the Emperor's fear as if it were your own. An Elder Brain enslaved is one thing. An Elder Brain unleashed will be the end of everything.
Beautiful, isn't it? The mighty Prince Orpheus, contained in submissive slumber. Come. You may as well
I'll sit a while. Now that you are here, your company isn't unwelcome.
I can't say the same for you. Your company is disgusting. I just want to dreamless sleep for once.
I apologize. I didn't mean to burden you with my woes. You have enough to worry about.
As your eyes blink shut, you fall into the deepest slumber of your life. A quietness so vast it feels almost like death.
Are you kidding me? Are we still... Do I need to look up how to remove the face paint? Okay, it comes off automatically after your long rest. That's okay. That's probably the one reason why I long rested. I just like to recover spell slots and everything. I wanted to get that. Okay, I need to use the bathroom. Maybe get some fresh water. It's getting a little warm. Be back in a few minutes. And we actually start to play the game. Oh, she's down there. Keep watching you from a little bit. Okay, what did we miss? Let me see here. There's probably too much stuff. Another brain? opposing kingdoms at her command. Okay, getting orders that so apparently it involves investigating the murder trail. Oh, this is a bunch of things. Rescue the Grand Duke. Oh, that's actually a thing we can do. Oh, well, okay, that's interesting. Okay, here's the open hand temple murders. Okay. We'll find the lock to fit the flower key. Oh, crap. Find the lock to fit the flower key. Find the night song. So you need to find more. Still need to investigate the beach. And search the cellar. We just give the investigator the key or show the investigator the key, and then we'll have some hint as to...
You seem quite forward with your compliments, Arya. We'd only just met.
Seize the day, I say. More now than ever.
Careful you don't pull a muscle in your haste.
Oh yeah, I should probably send him back to camp. We're kind of done with him for now.
Another case closed, another bottle open. Huzzah to Valeria! Hang on a tick. I recognize that face. You were talking to Yanis after I left the temple. I'll bet she's put you up to something.
Afraid so. I found new evidence, investigator.
Why must you busybodies insist on interrupting a perfectly good night? I know that look. You remind me of Devella. Fine. If you doubt my conclusions, out with it. What have you found?
Well, I found the murder weapon for one in a tunnel under the temple.
That's quite the discovery. Doesn't tell me everything, though. Why was Lorgan killed?
Well, there were some shape-shifting assassins under the temple. That good enough?
No. I want proof. If someone else killed Lorgan, I want you to tell me why they did it. Come back when you've got some real evidence.
Take these for later. They might be evidence, who knows? Yoshimo is willing. A original sensation novella with a blurb. In this alternate history sex adventure, the one and only Yoshimo does not betray the ball spawn. In fact, he does almost everything the ball spawn asks for, very readily. The butler cane has a knob on the end. Because redolent with the enticing smell of paper and ink. This comedy of errors centers around the butler, Vincent Raspington, who thought he is a silly dragonborn with stiff manners and a generally baffled attitude to do goings on in of fine fair ladies and gentlemen. Of fine fair ladies and their gentlemen, ends up going arse over tea kettle into extremely erotic situations with the local nobility. Needless to say, he's unprepared for it. There's a particularly good sequence in which Vincent, a 7-foot-tall dragonborn, must pretend to be a shy gnome named Missy, Wimplesnatch, during a banquet. Gafar, Fnar, hee hee, ho hum, etc. One got a okay. One got a text written on the back of the smut advertises it. A slow-paced enemies to lovers tale featuring a bitter archwizard of Fae and his nemesis, a pure-hearted, muscled berserker. I don't know. For role-playing purposes. The Warrior of Love. This compendium of smutty tales advertises itself on the back. A paladin soon gets a summons from their goddess, a mission to lie with someone from every town at the Sword Coast, to prove their devotion to love. Maybe we should start becoming a paladin soon. Whatever. The Quattrocune. The answers from the Quattrocune, a guide to sexuality, eroticism, and emotional fulfillment. Detailed diagrams accompany every page. On your journey to sensual alignment, treat each passionate encounter as a dance. Your movements should flow one to another, like a river through the mountains. For instance, it would likely be uncomfortable for you and your partner, or partners, to move immediately from the bugbear bend into the underdark choke. Instead, after strenuous positions, gentler ones such as threading the weave or transitive plane are encouraged. It is also important to treat your partner's care post-encounter as the final step to this dance. Recipes for scented oils for exhausted muscles, tea blends for sore throats, and massage tips can all be found in later chapters. Overlapping lines. This publication describes itself in the introduction. A semi-annual magazine of drawings and tales telling stories of famed heroes of Baldur Gates by their admirers. Open submission from the public. That's probably the least interesting book here. Scroll of Speak of Dead. None of this is considered stealing according to the more details? Okay. Just the item weight and item price. But not like what it does, or if it probably doesn't have any actual function. Oh, here's an easy way to get onto the roof of a building. Does this help us in any way? Dang it, my joints are sore for some reason. Probably just because I'm old. Huh. I don't think there's anything to find here. Is what all there is to be found in here? Or what? Or do we need to roll an investigation check to try and see if we could consult a walkthrough? It was a music box all along. Well, that's cool. It allows us to like, interact with anything within a particular radius. Okay, that's cool. Rules of the reading room. Anyone caught pleasuring themselves in the library will be tethered to the bookcase of chained books. Anyone who is caught examining the special collection without express permission will be commanded to read aloud to the whole library the passages they were enjoying. Anyone breaking the silence of the library will be promptly gagged. Mirror, dog collar. Smells a bit rusty, but looks stylish nonetheless. Silver glass, Fion's journal. He's getting worse. The whispers, the night terrors, the blood. I know he's hiding something, and the others in the plot post know it too. I've seen how they look at him, how they look at me. They're scared of him, and I can't blame them. I am too. Okay. Hourglass. Probably very important to like if you're charging by like a particular period of time. ABC's the Lich's Enemy. T is for Var, Wizard of Red Fae. Wizard Red Fae. U is for the empty loop, the death that does not die. V is for Queen Black of the Lich, Queen of the Gift. W is for Dread Woolgref. Gref. Okay. The Scourge of Direwood. Okay, what? What's our next step? Oh, this is the nymph.
Birthday boy's just nervous, but don't worry. Everyone is
through my brain.
Look at me. You need only think of me. I don't understand why there's such a type.
Your pleasure is mine, sweetie.
Okay. I should really have a number of saves I'm cycling between.
That blacksmith is paying me to use the clamping vice.
Is it... Oh, the one male, one female twins.
My. I can tell you are a special one from a single glance. You have but to ask, and we can grant you a moment of pleasure. Don't be shy.
How did you end up here, if you don't mind me
I
asking?
used to work as a courtesan back home, and my sister as an artisanal masseuse. But men are treated like dogs by the Underdark's matriarchs, so we fled.
We found surfaces crave the body of a drow like a drug. Life is easy in our line of work.
As long as you're here of your own free will.
Life is prosperous. I'm much happier kissing the many lips of the surface than tending a field or manning a shop.
I'm glad you found a place you feel safe.
I'd have to restrain myself far more than any play bindings do if I worked in another field. This is a place where I can be myself boundlessly. There are so many who come to me speaking of a fixation that no one else has ever been able to share with them, and never will again. A once-in-a-lifetime moment of passion. Every day. What could be better? Don't you want to try it?
Trust me, you don't want to miss my signature Mesobaranzan love trick.
And is that your partner with you? What a gorgeous couple. Perhaps we could come to an agreement.
You look uncannily alike. Oh, we did say before this, so... What kind of agreement?
We want both of you, silly. At the same time.
Well, it's a fascinating prospect. I'd like you all to myself. At least the first time.
Feel the same way.
I'm glad. Provided we survive, there's plenty of nights yet to come.
It would be an interesting way to.
Do you think we've done something wrong?
Leave our ancient traumas. Remember our vow to keep one another safe. When the music stops,
You can stare as much as you like.
Yeah, I'd freaking consult the journal because I'm. Oh, yeah, we need to meet her contacts, don't we?
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
You will when you've met the drow. Oh, Father, give me strength.
What are we doing here? Yeah, we rescued Wolbrun. I don't think he was down here.
Brothel, pleasure house, den of decadent delights. Which means we're getting a real.
What's so loud?
Wet, it's salty, it stinks of the sea. Try the catch of the day. Get your own air, fresh off the eagle.
Listen, it's got private rooms, music, and all-round pleasant folks. Birthday boy's just nervous, but don't worry. Everyone at Sharesh's caress is a... I'd probably break his...
Nothing fishy but my prices. Get the seafood here.
in-betweener, I've got 'em all.
Hey, what the hell? Where is? It needs, the quest log needs to be a lot. Let's go. We have a log of all the dialogues we've ever had. Right, it needs to be okay. There's a sort feature, so I know how to do sort features. Okay, we found a journal in the pleasure room. She seems terrified about something happening to someone dear to her and scared that the patrons of the flophouse will have noticed. Maybe we'll just...
Pleasure house, den of...
Time and again, Will's plight reinforces my decision not to pursue the path of a warlock. It's one thing to make such a sacrifice in the pursuit of such a pack, but to do so in order to escape one. Truly, it leaves you with nothing. I question the wisdom of that decision, but so be it. I'll be in the camp then.
I've had a lifetime's fill of watching little men buff themselves up with grand titles. I look forward to the day we show the Archduke that his tongue is not half so silvered as he thinks.
As do I.
He's protected by his steel watch for now. And Orin will have her own defenses, should we choose to play the part of Gortash's bloodhounds. We cannot expect either of the chosen to fall easily. But fall they must, if we're to have all 3 stones to command the brain. Still, if you see sense in making an alliance, I won't question it. I'll just look forward to the inevitable breaking Gortash spoke of.
What do you think of the warning of the doppelganger in our camp?
A Harper learns to doubt. To peer through every smile, question every look. Eventually, you find what it is you fear, whether it is there or not. When we cannot know, we can only trust. But then, that is exactly what a traitor in our midst would say. Isn't it? As you
Join me.
wish. At your command.
Oh, we had to level her up all the way. Well, that's fun. Of course. She's locked into Circle of the Land? Huh. I think she already is a dual wielder. Although, she might not be a skilled dual wielder? Please start in haste. Did she already had Pamper? Whatever. You create her individually invisibility and dominate beast as A mask cure wounds is probably pretty helpful.
Have a lot on my mind. And, well, in it.
Exactly. Pleasure isn't just physical, it's state. Doesn't make any sense.
Okay. How do we actually get into the flop house? Is there a proper entrance to this place?
I don't mind it. Honestly.
Okay.
Which means we're getting a real room.
Dar was right. This was a stupid idea.
Sir, good, sir. Give me 3 days and... Oh, apologies. Thought you were someone else. Greetings, so forth, so on.
What do you know about Fionn Goldgrind?
Fionn, one of Mamselle's girls, laughs like a star's twinkle. Not seen her for a 10-day. 10 days and 4 bells to be precise. Not that I'm counting.
She's gone missing. I don't think.
Missing? I hadn't thought her missing, just not here. Or elsewhere. Oh, I suppose that's like missing, but with extra words. You don't suppose the murderer who's on the loose got hold of her? Oh, goodness, no. It's too horrible to imagine.
By the way, who did you think I was?
Landlord, Sir Frago Antuna. A most generous soul, I assure you.
Okay.
Honestly.
Well, I do. Which means we're...
First is the coronation. Now, we've not filed in the right entry papers. This place was meant to be a city of heroes, not pissing paperwork.
Come to Baldur's Gate, he said. Adventurers get welcomed as heroes, he said. Poxy Drim and his bleeding notions. Bridge guards.
Oh, here we go.
Dumped a lot of them.
Now, what do you reckon, lass? You trust these steel watcher thingamajigs?
Trust them about as far as I could throw them. Although I could throw them pretty far, actually. But not that far.
Aye, I'll second that. It's alright where we can get work repairing them, but what happens when they build something else to do that? It's no good, I tell ya.
I imagine I could throw them pretty far if I actually managed to pick them up.
A vampire spawn turned into mist. Didn't know they could do that.
I don't think we caught that, but apparently we did, but didn't.
shapeshifter's key unlocked the door. Interesting.
Oh, incidentally, we've found the next stage of temple plans.
These tunnels were full of shapeshifters. Father Lorgan's name is written here too.
A especially exciting set of instructions for the push via animal flesh. Here we go. Must lean to describe a parchment amidst a dreadful stench. With letters of deep red-brown adore this scrap of parchment. Those willing to face the Dreadlord's tribunal and enter the Temple of Baal must slay the targets on this list and frame the corpses as a murder by the cult of the Absolute. Bring the victim's hand as proof of the killing. Walk in blood, aspirant. Duke Beline Stalman, Elsong Tavern Lord, City, killed. Father Logan, Open Hand Temple, Rivington, killed. Dribbles the Clan, Circus of Last Days, Rivington, killed. Alexander Rainforest, office near the counting house, Lower City, killed. France Peartree, abode near Fiogo Gears Fireworks, Lower City, killed. Cor Highbury, large home near Baldur's Gate, Baldur's Mouth Gazette, Lower City. That's probably the one we talked to. Figaro Pennygood, Facemakers, Fashion, Lower City, not killed. Chef Rover, Elsong Tavern Kitchen, Lower City. Nisha Lisha, Blushing Barmaid, Lower City. Vari Van Femper Villa, Upper City. Fridgicone Hehoon House, Upper City. Well, here's evidence, possibly.
A list of names. Father Lorgan's on here, crossed off. A target list, perhaps?
Torn parchment. Letters torn and stained, and some of the words are indecipherable. Take the ist, find the, and make them offerings in his name. Bring their hand to the tribunal. Prove your work. Become of the highest accord.
Blood near the bed.
You
Use the
notice
blood.
some blood has pooled on the wooden floor.
Try to discern the source of the blood. Oh, we still had the warped head bit of intellect? I thought we took that off. Maybe we did it in a previous save.
You notice the blood's source. A body hidden under the bed.
Oh. Oh. No!
I know this key. It's identical to the one held by that corpse in the tunnels.
Best wives and mothers. Well, we've... Bloodstained note. 2 hands... Now 2 hands, 2 of them, more needed. Not enough. Must cover myself in glory to be covered in blood. More! There's the guide on which devils to bargain. With which devils to bargain for with and what. One must choose which devil to deal with using utmost vigilance. Remember, devils are not only fiends, they're bastards. I once knew a man who asked for ultimate protection against his enemies from a devil of the spatter. He was transported into an impregnable iron fortress deep underground, one without doors, so pick and choose with caution, friend. For matters of money, creatures of Minoris can best salve your wounds. For matters of pleasure or pain, face the fiery folk of Flelglefos. Okay, I just... Okay.
What if they build a machine that can drink points, but half the bloody city out of jobs, that?
That's the locked door.
It is you. Most definitely not anyone else. Salutations and hello and whatnot.
Oh yeah, Fifon's been murdered. I found her corpse.
Oh. Oh dear. Poor thing. Murdered to death.
That's how it tends to work.
Elves, I better lay low. Lower than low. Under low.
Curious.
I put it on especially for you.
Your pleasure is mine, sweeting.
I found Fifion, whatever's corpse. She's been murdered.
Murdered? Ye gods, the poor thing! Oh, by the mother of cats, I pray she didn't suffer. I'll miss that face. Else, the regulars will miss her more. They swarmed her like honeybees at the hive. Oh. Losing Fionn slashed a big hole in my coin purse. I should get to replacing her.
On to other matters. We got XP, we didn't get any money. Okay. Oh yes, we should go to the second floor and present this evidence.
Much better to make drinks.
If it's sufficient.
I presume you've found something interesting to discuss, if you're interrupting me again?
Father Logan's murder is part of one part of a bigger plot. A ball plot.
A Baal plot? You as well? Devella's been harping on about Baal for months. Fancies herself something of an expert. I assumed it was just a bunch of conspiracy codswallop and fear-mongering. But she's been unusually insistent about this one, even for her. Fine. I'll bite. What's your theory?
Well, it's not just a theory. I have proof. This document contains information connecting murders to a Ball's resurgence.
No need to wave documents at me. I'm already drowning in paperwork as it is. Constable Devella is going to be a real pain in the trunk about this. Since you seem to be on an obnoxiously similar wavelength, why don't you seek her out? She'll be at the Elf Song Tavern. Show her the list, and I'll stay and inform the Fist here. Oh, and you'll need this pass. It'll give you access to the lower city.
Oh, everyone need to stick in.
Well, what are you waiting for? You've a bloody conspiracy to solve. Move!
Yeah, that's one way we could have gotten in. Without having to do something terribly elaborate. Oh, this is our entrance to Sharis's Caress. Okay. I think it's this building where you're supposed to go into.
Welcome to Danthilon's dancing axe. Our
Yes,
stock
thanks,
isn't used. It's tried and tested by the finest adventurers.
What do you need?
Let's see what you're saying. Unless it's the War Master. Be useful for Lizelle. If we want to spend that much on it. Might. I don't think she has gloves, so... Or gauntlets. Horns of the Berserker. Huh. Interesting. No daily damage this turn, you take 1 of 4. So, unarmed melee attacks deal 2 necrotic damage as long as you don't have your full health. If you don't deal any damage this turn, you take 1 to 4 necrotic damage at the end of your turn. Which, that sure is a pretty good trade-off. Arrow of Humanoid Slaying. Cloak of Displacement. Oh, that seems interesting. At the beginning of the wearer's turn, the cloak activates, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls that target the wearer. The effect lasts until the wearer takes damage. Huh. probably give it to the person who maybe already has the highest AC, so they'll be even more. Um, this is technically better. Um, like AC, but enchantment, extra enchantment. Alright. Yeah, some potions though. How many trap kits do we have? Or I'll use more thieves tools. Yeah, we're spending a lot of gold here. We have any? It has some junk, don't we? Thought we did. There it is. Oh yeah, that's after we
Short father, bless you.
Don't draw any trouble on old Enthal. He acts like he's up for it, but he's retired for a reason.
How else was I supposed to see the optics?
How about now? Want to talk now? Moonshade? Put him up! Put him up!
Put what up?
Yay! You spoke to me! Nobody ever talks to me! Your fist, silly. I'm trying something out. My name's Narber, adventurer to be, soon to be the best adventurer anyone's ever seen. As soon as I figure out what kind of adventurer I want to be. What do you think? Can I be a fighter?
Walk away. Here's a tip to get you started. Less talking and more fighting.
Right you are. I'll just find something to punch, I guess. It won't hurt, will it? No, surely not.
Welcome back to Calms Garms. We've got clothes for your arms. What do you need?
Oh yeah, your brother is in danger. I found his name on a serial killer's list.
A killer? That's gods. I've no love from my brother, but that's extreme. He doesn't deserve that. Thanks for warning me, but it's him that needs warning, and he never listens to me.
You're looking
Sounds
worse.
good.
Everything different from
Something a
yesterday?
bit fresher than your current outfit.
I mean, different dyes and baby blue and gold. Hoping black and white. Black appearance red, which we already have. Philip green, which is black and summer green. Black and jade green. Deep lilac. Bloody plum. Black and azure dye. Yellow fruit. Lavender. Black alabaster. Dye remover. Let me outfit in green. Do these like dye differently? I'm kind of curious. It's already red.
Remember, Calms Garms, here for all your fashion needs.
Yes, but they were and did make him the inventor. How about we settle on the Gondians and
Dang it. Alchemy and potion shop.
Now here's someone who appreciates the finer things. Welcome, sir. Stop. Inhale through the nose. Hold. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Now you've just sampled some of Baldur's Gate's finest incense. Delicious, no?
Incense, I felt someone with burning rose shit. The fish.
You know, head trauma can severely affect one's sense of smell, among other things. You may find my selection somewhat misaligned with your particular preferences.
What have you got in stock?
Everything alchemical from potions to poisons. Just do make sure you read the label before quaffing. Hmm?
I need just some basic potions of healing, which you may or may not have. Some ingredients to make my own. Holy water. I could use this. Oh. Tadpole elixir. Drake General die, which I don't know.
Be sure to...
That doesn't look us, so. Ooh, that looks really... like just by default. Sure, it's something that looks more like a dress, but
My
does
face
Sarah already
protects
have
me.
a cape? I don't think she does.
What to do?
Well, while we're in town, we could probably just.
How else was I supposed to see their optics?
Okay.
And the other person with you. They enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it. So I had no less than 2 maidens and a bachelor clawing at my doors and
That's just a refugee. Okay. Another refugee. Great.
Love to see one of them in a fight. A real fight. They crush everyone.
That seems like her.
Well, I think we still haven't seen the inside of this building. But this is still Sharasa's caress, so is there another like
One chicken win.
I wish I could kiss you better. I mean, to try.
that's the locked room, okay.
You have the key to my heart in that.
Looking for flavour to savour? Perhaps? Ah, forget it. My new brew could drop you in the wink of a spectator's eye.
Oh, sure. No time for that, I'm afraid.
I'd probably break his nose.
I have no idea where we're supposed to be going.
Are the gods truly this petty?
Like, how could Lore Runner find this location? And I still have no freaking clue where it is. It's like a third floor to this building, so I guess one he came out of. That's apothecary. Apothecary. Are they here?
Ready and waiting. Well, certainly waiting.
Huh.
Time has not hardened my hands just yet.
There's a storeroom full of. Yeah.
I've got a long road ahead.
Probably another storeroom. I imagine. Where the hell are we supposed to?
Whether you're getting hammered or getting nailed, we've got the tool for the job.
Locked. We already been there, I think, on top of that, so. I don't want to freaking go through. There we go. May have already been there.
When you met the drow. Oh, Father, give me strength. Listen, it's got private rooms, music, and all-round pleasant.
And if a patron confuses me for a member of staff,
I'd probably break his nose. Good boy.
Oh yeah, I know where one part of Dribbles the Clown is.
I'm fine. You're the one who took a beating.
Survived the beating. Let that be the end of it.
On my
Weather chisel set, okay.
That drow's nose was as crooked as you carved, my darling. He was simply in denial.
Huh? Okay.
Oh,
Oh.
darling, don't forget that Dragonborn's order. It's due shortly.
Does it require a freaking investigation check? That we just did.
Good. You shall make him magnificent, my darling. I know it.
Okay.
All right, all right. I shall stop fussing.
I thought it was like literally here.
Oh, but I'm sure a sizable contribution from an adventurer such. Oh, you shall be thrilled and delighted. I know it.
Are you supposed to like pickpocket it off of him or what?
Nothing caught your eye?
Okay.
That drow's nose was
Man,
as
I forget what the
crooked
freaking.
as you carved, my darling. He was simply in denial.
See, like everything that I remember Lord Runner having done is
Oh, darling, don't forget that Dragonborn's order. It's due shortly.
Hopper stall. Maybe it's not his stall. I think
You shall make him magnificent, my darling. I know it.
another stall. I was remembering the wrong character, I guess. My memory is terrible.
Not for communal use, it seems.
What?
Best show some respect. Or some more cunning.
Oh, skeleton. Oh yeah, it's the kobold. Okay.
Junks and magics for sale. Mostly bloodstain free.
Now I remember. A clown's severed hand. Can we? I think we need to attempt to steal it, and then.
Oi! Give that back! It's my special hand!
What makes this hand so special?
I found it by the clown man's tent. Fought a rat for it and everything's. It's a one-of-a-kind hand with artisanal bite marks. It's worth lots.
10,000. I think it belongs to Dribbles. I need it. Your ringmaster needs it. Oh, we rolled a natural 20.
All right. Nama Lucretia says we family. Suppose that means Dribbles was too. Yeah. But don't tell nobodies I gave it to you for free. Got to protect my reputation as a tough business lord.
Okay.
Every sale, Papa 30.
Okay, so now the quest area that was over here is gone. Freaking hell.
Oh, darling, don't forget that Dragonborn's order. It's due shortly. Junks and magics for sale. Mostly bloodstain free. Good. You shall make him magnificent, my darling. I know it.
Okay, I think I need to actually like speak to her while we're in town. Which we are.
So Bal's chosen is a doppelganger. I should not be surprised. They have ever been among his favorite servants. Orin is testing you. Either she thinks herself a predator, playing with her food, or she fears what you might do. Good.
You seem to have experience.
This all begins to ring a little too familiar for my liking. The last time I fought doppelgangers, the Balspawn Sarevok was using them to subvert the city government, aid his rise to power. But Orin, he's more predator than politician, I think. She simply wants to make us feel hunted, isolated. Tell the Lordling that Orin is watching. Seems that Gortash and Orin have had a little falling out. We should leverage that.
I'll ask you something.
Watching gods. But I never thought I would be happy to see the city again. Much less to smell it. The Harper safe house I spoke of is on the bridge at Worm's Crossing. Danthelon's dancing axe.
Okay. What are you hoping to find there again?
Information. The Chosen have a head start on us. I'd like to know what they've done with it.
Okay. So it was what I thought it was. But we don't have a freaking quest marker there, so that's concerning.
Get your shiny.
Maybe we'll unlock a dialogue option here.
Two. That seems like a lot.
Could also be glitched to hell. That's the alchemy and potion shop.
What do you need?
Okay.
Yes?
Yes, O Oaken Maiden?
Okay.
Not for communal use, it seems.
Well, I was
Let's
trying
show
to
some
investigate.
respect.
I think there's a secret passage here.
Not for communal use, it seems.
Go to hell.
Whether you're getting hammered or getting nailed, we've got the tool for the job.
See if I can.
Let's see.
I think that's where we're.
Looking ahead.
Oh, we need to have her a bit ahead. Or are we too late? This is supposed to be the rendezvous point. At least from what I remember, but apparently... Sea harbors appear to operate independently, each separate cell feeding into a ranking member who oversees the larger network. It's an effective method at distributing their efforts and ensuring that each unit is safeguarded against the infiltration of the others. But once already compromised, their structure is their greatest weakness, with no Harper being able to tell where the contamination began or how far they spread. And so while they will rebuild themselves, we carry on with the Chosen's work. Oh, maybe this quest is broken now. Thank you, Larian.
Still alive, so that's progress.
I guess we could just go through here without the...
Except if you're a criminal, of course.
It's more than that. The way they look at you, judging you. I don't like it.
I'm not being paid to like it.
Oh, it's almost midnight already. Dang it. We can confront...
What are you doing in here?
You notice the gnome slip a lockpick into his pocket.
You're not a fist. Go on, get out, or I'll wake the others.
He probably has intimidation. Hand over the lockpick if he thinks it's a one. She also has thaumaturgy and guidance.
Okay, but it's not... It isn't like that. I'm not a criminal. I just needed the gold.
You did it for what?
Getting out of here. Taking a ferry down the coast to get me home. Those bloody crooks at the docks are charging triple, though. Danger money. It's a joke.
You exerted them.
No! I mean, I quit. Nothing wrong with quitting a job. My wife said we have to stand and fight, and I can't. I won't. I'm not made for this.
It could be a soldier, act like one.
I'm not a soldier. I only joined for the uniform and a warm bed. They're better off without me. I'm scared. All I want is to go home.
No one back home will ever believe this.
This area isn't open for the public.
Huh. Okay, we can't give money retroactively now. What? 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 Oh, come on! Yeah, that was weird. Let me just save in case that... Maybe on the other floor. Dang it. That's the problem with these quest arrows. This could be potentially solved by... Damn it. Oh, come on. Through the audience hall?
You seek Archduke Gortash, do you not? Take the door to the right of the throne, just through the grating. But know this. If you do not possess the stone he requires, he will cleave you straight through. I trust nothing more needs to be said on the matter.
This looks like a slaughterhouse. What happened?
My lord requires a clear path to his magnificent future. We cut away the troublesome preamble. Do not face him without Orin's netherstone in hand, or you will meet the same end.
Is that like the game telling us? That...
Tempers are rising. It's
What? But that's a door on the right. Isn't it? Other right? What the frickin' hell?
Shadowheart.
You seek Archduke Gortash, do you not? Take the door to the right. But know this. I trust nothing more needs to be said on the matter.
What, this door on the right? Through the grating.
This area is restricted under orders of Lord Enver Gortash. Intruders are subject to deadly force.
State your business. Then I presume it is also...
I freaking...
Turn away, citizen.
State your business.
Are you freaking kidding me?
In that case, you are most welcome. Lord...
Hopefully this is not like an awful, terrible idea.
Hot foot. Place is trapped.
Really?
Best avoid that trap. Best avoid that trap.
Wait, autosave. Yeah, just lovely.
It's hard to keep a good woman down, isn't it, Carla?
I don't know. You managed it for a solid decade.
I never meant to harm you, dear. Merely to help you realize your vast potential.
You sent me to the hells. You let Zariel take my heart, as though any of it was yours to give away.
The greater good, Karlak. Something I wouldn't expect you to understand.
You feel no regret, do you? All right. How about fear, then?
Oh, you do quite misunderstand. I've already made a deal with your companion. We need each other.
Do we now?
Either cock, we won't make it far against this steel watch.
Listen to reason for once in your life. I'm sorry you feel wronged about how things ended between us, but that was 10 years ago. We must look to the future.
You have no future. There will come a time, sooner than you think, when death comes knocking on your door. You'll swing that door open, and you'll cower before what you see, and you'll beg, "Please, Karlak, spare me. I can't wait."
Okay. Is that completed? Go to hell, Larian.
Can't give up now.
He has been confronted, Larian. It's glitched and it's glitched. I don't wish to tempt fate any more than I need to. Okay. Dang it. You're back there, Ellie? She's okay. You're all right. I want to make sure my kitty's oh okay. It's super paranoid about that. Anyway, there's a bunch of things you can do that'll take a few seconds of your time, as well as other things that are a bit more involved. But of course, all of that is entirely up to you. And regardless, I thank you very much for watching. Wait a second. What if Karlak is the imposter? And that's why the quest hasn't been the quest for Karlak to confront Gortash hasn't been progressed. Food for thought. Until next time, sign out.